Welcome to Season 1, Episode 26 of the Colors of Prog. My name is Louis Paul, and I'm your host. I've been doing this for almost an entire year. Sometimes the episodes were separated by months, and sometimes by weeks. It's been a month since I've done this. A lot going on in the world and with me, but needless to say, what I do here is I review progressive rock recording CDs, albums, digital media from all over the world, bands from everywhere. So this time, we're going to jump right in. It's a remaster of King Crimson's first album, In the Court of the Crimson King. This has the classic lineup, of course: Robert Fripp, Ian MacDonald, Greg Lake, Michael Giles, and Peter Sinfield. And really nice 180 gram vinyl reproduction of the original gatefold sleeve, and the sound was quite good. It's not knock you out of your socks, amazing. It's quite good. I think Fripp himself overall has a hand in a lot of these remasters. He's very particular about sound, and what may be, I guess, great for us, he prefers things another way. And so it's still great album to have, and it's nice to have a nice, clean new edition. I already have an original in my collection, but I was curious to hear the remaster. It's still quite good. And this is one of the albums that influenced countless non-American and non-British prog bands and artists. You hear influences from this album alone in the music from Italy, of PFN, Bongo, and others, and from other countries as well. It's just an amazing record. We'll delve more into this in the upcoming episode, maybe mid-year, season 2, just like a television show. Next we have Calibro 35. Plays Lesiman, High Tension Volume 35. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. So, what this Italian band, this is by the way on AMS Records in Italy. Calibro 35 plays instrumental music that's a tribute to the soundtracks of Italian crime thrillers and I would say sometimes thrillers. And it's all instrumental. They're quite good. It's a really great band. You have 7 members on this band, and it's this was recorded. This is a live recording, by the way, at the Santeria Social Club in Milan. I'm not quite sure who Lesiman is. I thought at first he might have been a composer, and this was a tribute to him, but it doesn't seem to be the case because all the tracks are credited to different band members. This is a really throwback cover. It's a throwback band. I quite like them. I have another album of theirs by them that I like even more because it has more of a hypnotic, maybe occasionally prog. This is prog by association. This is an interesting record. So it's a Calibro 35, and the man plays Lesiman. I have to find out more what the Lesiman thing is, but anyway, I thought maybe Lesiman was a school, but it's not. So anyway, that's album 2. So everybody recalls Spooky Tooth, which early 70s was a band of very good artists, musicians, who wound up for better or worse, being in other bands over the years. Some of them appeared in the bands Jojo Gone, and some appeared in some Prague-related bands. But the most famous member of Spooky Tooth, years later, was Gary Wright. And then everybody, I mean, you guys should recognize this album cover, right? So if you don't, the big breakout hit of this in 1970, I would say 75 record, Warner Brothers, was Dreamweaver. Essentially, even though we had a full band on here, a lot of it's Moog bass, clavinet, Hammond organ, Fender Rhodes, Moog bass, woodwinds, special effects, so on and so forth. There's other band members, except for Jim Keltner on drums, also played other wind instruments, keyboard instruments. David Foster's on here, and that's a familiar name to people. He's worked with a lot of other people over the years and became very well known for producing some recent pop artists of today. Anyway, so Dreamweaver was the big monster hit on this thing. Very ethereal, wavy, ambient song. He had good vocals. And then right on that, side one actually was Love Is Alive, which is a more percussive song, but utilizing the same kind of feel as Dreamweaver, but it's more of a, got more of a rock feel. So yeah, this is an original. It might have been remastered, who knows remastered, it might have been released on CD at some point in time. Yes, it's one of those old Ticks and Pops things, but Gary Wright, Dreamweaver, I pulled it out of the collection because I thought to myself, don't talk about that too much, do I? So, Genesis is touring right now. They're nearing the end of the North America tour, which I did go see. I was skeptical, I would say. Like I'm a hardcore fan of some bands. I enjoyed the various incarnations of Genesis, the Gabriel years, and Nick Collins, Tom Collins, right? Yes, Phil. Tom Collins is the drink I could use right now. Anyway, so Phil Collins was the drummer for Genesis, amongst other bands, Brand X, etc. And Peter Gabriel was the original singer. And oddly enough, Phil sounded a lot like Peter. And when Peter left, Phil took over the singing. They're still drumming with them. So Seconds Out is a really interesting album because it has a lot of the favorite Peter Gabriel songs. Copper Crawl, Robbery, Assault and Battery, Fourth or Fifth, I Know What I Like, The Land Lies Down on Broadway, Musical Box. A lot of these songs Genesis are playing now on tour. Supper's Ready. This is a 2-disc set. Very interesting because I will tell you in a moment. There's a very interesting thing happened here. So we have Tony Banks, Mike Rutherford, Steve Hackett, Phil Collins, and Chester Thompson. So when this band went on tour in 1977, Chester Thompson and Phil Collins played drums together, and then sometimes Phil would play and Chester would do percussion, vice versa, when Phil was singing. In '76, Bill Bruford was the drummer. There's one cut on here with Bill Bruford on it, and it's spectacular. So those always want to hear Steve Hackett and Mike Rutherford together on the last tour that Hackett did with them. It's a really good, listen, this is one of the most recent remasterings of this. They still haven't quite gotten it right. This is on Atlantic Rhino. Everybody buys everybody, right? And The sound was quite good. No fault in that. It's just that they needed to punch up the bass a little bit more. They needed to do some more work, but still, for recording of this vintage, it sounds great. So getting back to live Genesis, when I said I was skeptical, everyone knows Phil's health right now, and I'm not going to get into that. He's not drumming because of his health, and he's sitting in a swivel chair singing, and it was a really good show. So I'm glad I went. So there's that. So, what you may be hearing in the background is Gran Torino, our lone Italian release. Well, no, I just mentioned Calibro 35. One of our lone Italian releases this show. And the album's called Gran Torino Prague. This is their first album from 2011. They've only done 3 recordings in 10 years. And that's pretty amazing. In 2020, they did the 3rd album. The lineup changed a lot. I don't know if they're doing vocals right now. This is all instrumental. This is really good stuff, though, because to me, they got the keyboards and the guitars going, and it's just like a throwback to the early Italian prog sound. With that kind of acknowledgement of the time has gone by, so we should rock it up to try to gain new, younger audiences. Anyway, the last 2 albums they did, one they did in 2013, I believe, or 2015, and the one from 2020 are recordings that they have odd subject matter. It's like they took a project, a lot of Italian prog bands do this too. It's whether it's fantasy or something religious, and so they make it the focal point, and they create the songs around these themes. And the lineup has changed, as I mentioned, but this is a really nice one. Gran Torino, all instrumental, and if you like Goblin, it's not as thudding as that. It's more of an upbeat thing, but there's a similar Goblin feel to it, though, because there's a lot of keyboards and heavy bass, and a good drummer. It's a good band. Our final recording today is the newly released Jethro Tull Benefit. So, anybody who's Tull fans or just into prog in general, you know that the Chrysalis, along with others, have been releasing these historical Tull recordings of the past in what they call it book form. Very hard. I think they do a limited run of these, so it's hard to find them if you take your time. Procrastination is not something you should do nowadays with limited run items. So this is Benefit. And Stephen Wilson, to my knowledge, has been working on the remastering of a lot of these records. I know he did This Was, and I have some more in the wings. I'm going to surprise you with those, so I don't want to say what they are now. These tend, because I believe they're limited runs, they tend to go out of print quickly. And if you're lucky enough to snag one for a great price, they're really worth it. Everyone I've heard has been blowing me away. So what do we have in Benefit? So we have the original album, remixed by Stephen Wilson. Quite nice, the book thing. So you have the whole album, plus some singles remixed. I'm going to list every song in here, but it's really good. So disc 2 is what Steve Wilson's been doing with these book projects. It's associated recordings and some mono mixes of some of the other songs. So what he calls associated recordings, he's found tunes the band had been working on while they were working on the particular album, Benefit, and didn't use, and then he found singles that were either used to promote the record or they were abandoned for some reason by the label. And then he kind of looked further into the archives and he found more stereo mixes of other songs. So it's quite interesting. The Witch's Promise, an early version of Teacher. I mean, this stuff is just phenomenal. Some radio spots. Then we go on to Live at Tanglewood. That would be disc 3. So when you open it, there's, I believe, a nearly 100-page book, slick book in here, thin page book, of course. So it's a Live at Tanglewood from 1970. And I thought that show, audio-wise, this is remixed by Stephen Wilson, too, by the way. I thought that show, audio-wise, was lacking. Because I've heard other Tull material live that Stephen Wilson remixed. And I was like, wow. But then maybe because of the age of it or the condition. Also, disc 4 is live in Chicago, 1970. And this one is a mono mix from the front of house desk. So this is pretty much a soundboard recording. And this is pretty good, historically to have. Then there's a DVD audio mix of a lot of this stuff. And then DVD 2 is a Dolby AC and a Dolby DTS audio mix of more of the live stuff. So what do we have in here? This 4 CDs, 2 DVDs, a booklet, and I think it's so worth it. I liked Benefit anyway, and I just love to have found this. And not shilling for Tull or Crystal, but if you like Tull, it's a really good album, and it just sounds so good. The job they did on this, gosh, I wish they would take more care with more beloved prog rock recordings. Also, Benefit is, again, as I mentioned in King Crimson, one of these albums that influenced so many bands from all around the world. You hear this, and I can hear some early Focus stuff. And so Focus was probably influenced by this. And you hear Focus, and I can hear Tull, so maybe Tull was influenced by Focus. And then PFM, the Italian band, definitely influenced by Tull and Focus. And we can go on and on. It's, was that the 6 Degrees with Kevin Bacon? Something like that. You could trace everything to everything. But anyway, yeah, my review, find it, get it, don't procrastinate. It's really good, really nice sounding. So I managed to wrap it all up in less than 20 minutes today. I hope to be back before the end of December so I can get one more in, and then I have to think what I'm going to do for season 2 because there's a lot of stuff in the backlog. Enjoy your holiday. Stay well, stay safe. Goodbye.